Crossroad channel of light fluid. And seeing those two can only mean we're back in distant travels again. Starting off the new year with a trip into space. And that's actually where we left things last time. Finally boarded the Firefly, so let's see what's going on there. So, the first thing about spaceships is this. Spaceships like onions, they got layers. You really got into Earth culture fast. I bet you'll be the same when you finally get to see more of Arctos. It's literally another world to be explored. It's all to take in, or honestly I'm a little impressed at how fast you adapt. What's a dragon thing? Lots of energy. You just gotta know how to channel it right. As he talks, he leads the way through the corridors. Eventually you reach what looks like an elevator. So it's just the main way of transportation. Generally if you know where you need to go, you can just put it in the interface or say it out loud. To prove his point, as soon as you step in, Max loudly declares, Axel's quarters. The elevator responds with a loud ding and starts moving. There's a soft slight shake as it moves, not unlike most modern elevators back home. If you ever need to find a specific person, you can also ask the elevator to bring you to them, unless they've set their setting to private. And how would I set my setting to private if I want to be alone? There's an interface in your room, a touchscreen. It's basically a computer. You can use it to book the gym if you want it on your own, or see who's on dinner duty. As well as lock or unlock your room, add or remove access and so on. You should be able to call most people with it as well. It's basically your assistant. The elevator dings and the door opens. You walk out into a hall that's almost identical to the previous one. There's no sign or anything to describe where you are. You can always see where I am without knowing it first. We'll get you a wristband with a few functions, but you'll get used to it. Right this way. Max takes off with your bags down the corridor. It's strangely calm in comparison to how fast he's going. You arrived at a closed door and Max steps next to it and pushes his wristband to the door. It slides open without a sound. He steps inside and puts your bags down. It's a moderately sized room with a window. It's bland but still somewhat a little more homey than what you'd imagine a room on a military spaceship to be like. Definitely less cramped. Alright, here's the command interface. Max points towards a display near the door. Go ahead and calibrate it yourself. Let me know if you need any assistance. Despite how fast Max is moving things along, this seems easy enough. You're used to computers after all. Doesn't take a lot to configure it. A fingerprint, some voice tests, and some preference about who can enter your room. For now, you set it to private. All done? Do you need to unpack anything before we continue the tour? You look to one of your bags quickly and grab your old tablet. Hey, here, this is for you. It's loaded up with a few movies, although you might have seen them all at this point. Max's eyes grow twice as large as the side of it, and you swear you can see them twinkle like the stars outside the window. With great power comes great responsibility. I'll take good care of it. Never change. So, where to next? Max seems to think for a second, planning whatever route he's taken you through. Let's go leave my bags in my quarters and we can take a tour around the ship and see what we run into. Max leads the way. Instead of going to the elevator as expected, he continues down the hallway and turns a corner. Turns out Max's room isn't too far away from yours. It even has the same layout. Max quickly puts his bag down and closes the door. Next up, the greenhouse. Bruce should be there. Don't think I've heard anything about Bruce before. Bruce is a nice guy. A little old, but relaxed. He's in charge of the greenhouse and keeps us fed, really. It's a mix of hydroponics and aeroponics. Or in short, in-house greenhouses. Some filled with water, others with watery mist-like stuff. Max leads you to the elevator and simply says, to Bruce. The speaker lets out a soft ding and the elevator starts moving. Less than a minute later, you follow Max out of the elevator into what appears to be the greenhouse. It's not like any other area you've seen so far in the Firefly. It's honestly quite spectacular. There's soft music playing in the background. As you get further in, you can hear someone humming. Hey Bruce, we're back. A few seconds later, a large dragon comes walking towards you. He's holding a potted plant and places it down on the table before turning to talk to Max. There's a softness to how he moves compared to Max. He's large and honestly a little intimidating. Yet he apparently keeps everyone fed and cares for plants. He even has a tattoo of some sort. A reminder of a troubled past, perhaps? Yeah, welcome back. Does the boy want to feel like a pioneer in world exploring yet? I'm slowly becoming the best there ever was. Gonna explore them all. The older dragon looks as confused as the others of Max's theatrics. You can't but smile. Max is doing it on purpose. Nice to be our new crewmate. I'm Bruce. The dragon extends his hand towards you. You take it in a handshake. Axel, nice to meet you, sir. Yeah, just Bruce is fine. Nice to meet you, too. Yeah, younger than expected. Did you get the chance to explore the ship properly yet? I should get started on that, actually. That's a lot to take in. I think the plan is to have him shadow one of us every other day or so you can get used to it all properly. Let me know when you get tired of Boy Wonder and want to tag along here for a day. Well, I could use the help. Got a few new things from your planet to work with. Can't say anything about plants, but I'll be happy to learn. He smiles at that. That's about all anyone can ask. It's quite calming work. You get to use your hands a lot. You should start here tomorrow if you're up to it. I'll let you know. Let's keep going, Axel. There's a lot more to see before the day's over. Yeah, pleasure to meet you. Bye. I'll see you about coming by tomorrow. He gives you a pat on the shoulder as you leave. Looks like the crew of the Firefly is as curious about you as you are about them. As the only human, you must be sticking out. Max leads the tour back to the elevator and proceeds to ask for the gym. As the elevator comes to a stop and you're about to step outside, Max bumps into a large ball. Whoa! You're in a rush or something? Where's the fire? Sorry, G, I'm giving the new guy a tour. This is Axel. The large ball looks over Max's shoulder and eyes you up and down and squints. I'm Sergeant Geralt Stonebatch, strategist and in charge of security. Notice anything suspicious, come to me right away. Fresh eyes always spot the small things. Yes, sir. Any funny business, I'll vote you right out the airlock. No, it's not even a way to throw someone out the airlock, G. The ball sighs. I was trying to see how far I could take before he caught on, Max. Either way, good to meet you, and I mean it. If you see anything that's off, come right to me. I have to run. Got some business on the other side of the ship. Bye, G. How nice to meet you. The ball makes its way past you and disappears almost as fast as he appeared. That was interesting. He's stern, but he's a good guy. Max scratches his chin and thinks for a second. Actually, that goes for most people you meet today. Right, here's the gym. Should be about the same as what you're used to, except you won't have to re-rack any weights. You can set any settings you need on the rack next to it, you know how much you should weigh and such. That's nifty. Heh, see? Slang is addictive. Over there is the locker room and showers if you need them. There's a locker with your name on it. It's also a sauna if you feel like it. Aside from that, there isn't too much to see here. If you want to be alone, you can try to book it for an hour or two. Just check the interface in your room for free times. I don't think anyone else really books it except Mike and Aleph. That's good to know. It might be calm to have the entire place to myself at the start, even if just for some private time. Next up, let's head to engineering. Once again, Max leads you into the elevator. As the elevator reaches engineering and you step inside the room, you let out a yawn. Is Max boring you already? I need me to take over? I couldn't be boring if I tried. I'm just a little tired. There's a lot to take in all at once. If you need a nap, you can always come here and hide for a while. Don't get him on your schemes already. He's barely made on board. It's weird to see Max as the responsible one. John just chuckles at that. This is engineering. Usually it's just me here. Sometimes Max or Rex show up to help out with something. It looks kind of like what you'd expected. Tables for blueprints and what seems to be a display to edit and work them. There are also tools, and John seems to have some sort of device picked apart on the table currently. If you need help with any device or such, this is the place to be. Or if you just want to tinker. This is also where we'll set up your workspace and the servers you'll be managing, so you'll get to be here plenty. Did you fix the thing yet? Ah, right. Now here's a communication band for you. John hands you a wristband, not one like a smartwatch. Usually it's fine tuned for one person, but yours is a little different. You can use it as a phone pretty much, just talk to it to call someone. Oh, and you can connect it to your phone via Bluetooth to make it share messages and whatnot. A few more features I want to add, such as a map, but I'll have to be later. Thanks, I'll see if I can figure it out. That should be easy for you, similar to what you usually do, I'm sure. Alright, you keep going, we're going to make it past Charles in the navigation deck before Axel falls asleep. Yeah, take care, and don't drag him around too much, Max. You should show him the observation deck at the very least. I'd like to see that. Sounds like something right for a sci-fi movie. I'm all for sci-fi. I'll be heading there. Later, John. John waves you off as you head back into the elevator. This time Max calls to the observation deck. Eventually the elevator arrives and you step into a circular room with large windows around. It's like you're floating in space as you look around. Stars as far as you can see. Whoa. Cool, right? Cool is an understatement. It really is like something right out of a sci-fi movie. Impressive, isn't it? The universe. You turn around and spot the man behind you. I'm Rex, and you must be Axel. Oh, nice to meet you. The dog puts his hand forward for a handshake. How nice to meet you. You shake his hand and he smiles. I'm a researcher on board. I study other civilizations, including Earth. I have a few questions for you later, whenever you're free. Hi Rex, didn't think we'd find you here. I want to observe Earth as we left. It's an interesting place, after all. Somehow it reminds you of Mike, that feeling of instant familiarity. I'm no expert, but I'd be happy to try and answer any questions about Earth. Although, since thinking there'll be a connection to the internet, we could just look everything up online. That seems to pique his interest. I'll be looking forward to spending some time with you. So this is the observation deck. It's usually a quiet place to go if you just want to spend some time staring off into space. It can be quite inspiring. Depressing and inspiring hope at the same time, seeing it all up close. I'll have to give my take on it next time we meet. It's something of a sensory overload at the moment. Well, I can imagine. It'll probably take a few days till everything settles down for you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me whenever. I'm usually available. I'm always up for a conversation. We'll see you around, Rex. Got a rush you're going to make it to his tour where Axel falls asleep standing. While you don't straight up appreciate the bluntness of it, Max isn't wrong. There are a lot of impressions all at once. How casual everyone's been about it, I'm not even sure I've fully registered I'm not on Earth anymore. I'll get some rest when you need it. There'll be plenty of time to meet everyone properly. Max salutes Rex in an overly orderly fashion. Aye, sir, I'm safe and sound in bed by 10. Rex sighs a little at his theatrics, but keeps his gentle smile. Seems like he's used to Max. Let's visit Charles, then route back to the navigation deck and finish up Axel. Catch you later, Rex. It was nice meeting you. The two of you make your way back to the elevator. You turn back for a final look around the impressive room as the elevator doors close. Rex is sitting down on the bench, looking out into space. Meanwhile, as you're riding the elevator downstairs. The sister planet, huh? Or perhaps our redemption, or our doom. Or their doom. Remember the past, lest you repeat the mistakes of old. I guess Arctonians are a philosophical bunch. Makes sense why, seeing that room. Another short elevator ride and a walk through a corridor before you arrive at the medical bay. The light is on as you enter. Charles greets you with a smile. Good evening, gentlemen. Evening, just finishing up the tour. Charles gives you a once-over. How you finding our home away from home? Quite a different experience from anything on Earth, isn't it? It's a lot to take in, I'm sure. You can't help but let out a soft sigh. It'll be a while before I can process it all. Oh, don't rush it. There'll be time to get used to everything. You don't need to remember everything all at once. Think of it as a way to just get a first look at the place, so it's easy to get used to it in the coming weeks. It's a relaxing thought. Although I'd say what's most confusing is transportation. It's hard to get an idea of where everything is. Almost feels like taking an elevator to, well, everywhere. Oh, it does, doesn't it? You can walk everywhere on the ship if you want. I suggest trying to walk a few places tomorrow. There are 3 floors to keep in mind, and there are 2 sets of stairs, aside from maintenance ladders. Oh, that makes sense. In a weird way, it makes the entire place feel less cramped just knowing that. Sorry, I didn't think of that. I didn't mean like that, Max. I'm definitely glad we're not walking all around at once. I'd be exhausted both mentally and physically. Max's expression lightens up. His face always seems to tell the truth about what he's thinking. Speaking of, let's finish up here and head to the navigation deck if you're taking a look around here. At that, you take a quick look around the room. It seems like a high-tech medical facility. There are a few beds and monitors with things going on that you can't quite place. There are also cabinets filled with different boxes and books that probably has to do with Charles's research. You can even see what you imagine is a safe. There's also what looks like an electrical kettle and some mugs, probably for tea or coffee. The only thing that surprises you is what seems to be a small shrine. You can't quite place the religion it might represent, but it's not something you'd expected from Charles. Perhaps it reference needs medical attention if they're religious. Where to next then? If you're up for it, we could walk to the navigation deck from here. It's not far. I'll give you a chance to get used to the layout of the ship as well. Hell, either way. Charles bids you goodbye as Max leads you out of the room and, a little less rushed this time, starts leading the way down the corridor. You walk for a little bit when a large figure appears in the now dimly lit corridor. Max kind of gets in front of you, blocking the way until as the person comes closer. Evening, Frank.
You walking? Instead of the elevator? What happened?
Did we fall into a black hole, end up in a different dimension? Showing our new crewmate around. This is Axel. The large alligator looks over Max's shoulder towards you as Max moves out of the way.
I didn't see you there. I'm Frank Watts. You can call me Mr. Frank.
You put your hand forward to a handshake. A pleasure to meet you. I'm Axel.
I hear already. Just don't make any mess and don't break anything.
I'll do my best.
And with that, the alligator walks off without another word.
Grumpy. Don't even bother you. He likes to make a lot of noise, but he's not a bad guy. Lots of different people on the Firefly. Not one like home, when you think about it. Max is quite endearing, but... I'm used to dealing with people, but thanks for worrying. You've got to stay together. It's a man-eat-man world in here. I hope not. So, what movie would you recommend? You continue with casual conversation and make your way to and finally arrive at the navigation deck. The room is quite busy compared to the other areas you've seen today. Then again, from what you gather, it is quite late. How am I supposed to properly measure time on a spaceship anyway? Night and day like on Earth, perhaps? I guess I'll learn by watching. Here you are, one fresh Axel, just as ordered, express delivery. You almost facepalm at Max's joke. He must be getting tired since his sense of humour has gone down the drain.
Evening. Did Max show you everything?
I think we got most of it. We didn't make a recreation room in some other areas, but showed him everything important. We didn't run to Aleph either, but that's to be expected, I think. Just like Charles, the commander gives you a once-over.
A long day for you by the looks of it. Well, I can show you the recreation room whenever you're ready in the coming days. You should get settled in for a day or two. We'll get you started when you've rested up. Let me just introduce you to Sean if you feel up to it.
Do I really look that tired? I have some energy left.
Mike waves the other person in the room over. Sean, this is Axel, our new crewmate and key player in our mission.
Nice to meet you. I'm Sean. He puts a hand forward. You take it in a handshake.
Sean is a crewman. He's sure to assist whatever needs doing, regardless of what it is.
If you need something, just ask. There's generally not that much for me to do. I'll keep that in mind. You're smaller than I imagined. I think I'm pretty average. With that, I'm going to save Axel and drag him away before it becomes awkward. You only do so many introductions a day before you run away to greet people.
That gets a laugh from Sean and a smile from Mike. Call me on to come once you're ready to get started tomorrow. Don't be afraid to sleep in, alright?
I must look really lost, huh? Oh, will do. I'll see you tomorrow.
Good night. Sweet dreams.
As you make your way to the elevator, Max catches up to you. You don't talk much on the way back to your respective rooms, which are conveniently near each other. What if that's the plan all along? It's kind of nice to have that support. It's a little weird they're all so supportive. Well, in reality, I haven't done anything yet, and what I have to do is basically nothing. Though I guess going to another world is a big thing. You sit down on your bed. It's very comfortable compared to how it looks. As you unpack some of your things, you finally look around the cabin fully. The bathroom is small but functional. The shower seems to be a normal one with a glass sliding door. There's even a few towels set out for you. You take a slow shower. Slow as in you take your time. Is there a limit to the water I should use? Probably. You end your shower as soon as the thought crosses your mind and dry yourself up before getting to bed. Looking up at the ceiling of your new home for the coming months, everything starts to sink in. A long day? In the best of ways, I think. I've met a lot of nice people and a lot of interesting ones as well. Sounds like your adventure has finally started. There's a moment of silence. And there's a hug once again. A soft, warm and comfortable embrace. A soft sigh behind you, but one of comfort. I've had a long day as well, in the best of ways. Things are looking up. Honestly, it's hard to hide my excitement. But I have to keep things level-headed, for a little longer at least. This is a nice break. A break that's even better than all the good things going on. So, who are you? If I'm real, that is, right? It's as if every time I try to tell you something about me, or want to ask who you are, I just can't. Perhaps I am just something in your imagination. Or perhaps you're just something in mine. But I like to imagine that one day we'll figure it out. I get to know you a little more every time I meet you. It's as if we're building a connection. It takes some time, but I know that we'll get there. Building a connection. That makes sense. Maybe I'll just try going with it then. Waiting to see, that is. And come here. You're hugged even tighter. It's your turn to let out a content sigh. Do you ever think of... As you try to respond once again, the soft warm feeling around you suddenly dissipates. Instead, you feel cold. Lonely, even. It is just a dream after all, even if it feels recurring. You wake up with a headache, almost like you're dehydrated. You slowly get up out of bed and make your way towards the little bathroom in your room to grab some water. You finish your glass of water and make your way back to bed. As you lie down and look out the window, something just seems off. And again, I'm far from home. Perhaps it's just that feeling, like visiting another country. The air smells different, there are new sounds. Far from home and all alone. The voice shakes you from your daze and you suddenly feel all awake. It's not coming from anywhere specific. Instead, it almost sounds like it's inside your head. Surrounded by a dark expanse with no saving, trapped by memories of your past. Memories of my past? Whatever this is not talking about me. That's comforting. Do your memories haunt you as your actions haunt the souls of the ones you left behind? You look around your room slowly, trying to see where the voice is coming from. Although with how it's sounding, it doesn't seem to be coming from a speaker somewhere. How they looked up to you and trusted you. And how you left them instead of staying with them and keeping them safe. You get out of bed, not feeling comfortable to stay in bed any longer. I should try and find someone. Do you think now that your actions change anything? No, old friend. I have said it once before, and I will remind you until you join them. The ones you pretended to care about are stuck in a bleak, bland afterlife. No sun, no warmth, no colour. No chill from snow, no falling rain, no emotions. The empty void awaits, for you as well as the ones you left behind. You should have followed the lesson the moment you were taught it. Those colours you are so fond of will fade away before your eyes. Stop your futile struggle. Don't keep dragging others down in a futile attempt to save them. Reach for the stars, and the void behind them reaches back towards you. Are you going to leave behind another swarm of lost souls, oh Commander? Commander? That's concerning. A ding distracts you and you notice the wristband John gave you putting out an alert. It appears that someone is trying to contact you through it. You give the wristband a closer look and notice a button. As you push it, you can hear a familiar voice through the device. Sorry to wake you up, Axel. It doesn't sound as stressed as what you're currently feeling. Axel, did you experience anything strange just now? The voice. The voice, the spectre. It has a few names. It's rarely a pleasant experience. How are you feeling? Honestly, a little stressed out. I'm sorry. I should have prepared for something like this. Are you able to come meet me at the observation deck? I'll tell you more about what just happened. He seems calm. There's a slight discomfort in his voice. I'll be right there. I can just take the elevator, right? I'll be waiting for you then. You get dressed quickly and make your way out of your room. The corridor seems strangely quiet as you make your way towards the elevator. Even the short elevator ride is quiet. It really feels like you're up in the middle of the night. As the elevator comes to a stop and you enter the observation deck, you spot Mike and Rex from across the room. They react as the elevator arrives and Mike waves you over. I'm sorry, Axel. What you just experienced is called a spectre. Mike puts his hand on his shoulders to assert that things are alright. Doesn't seem like things are, though.
It's a relic of the past. An old, inert weapon from a past war.
It's like running into an old landmine. That's a harrowing description.
Mike lets out a sigh. The SP3 CTR is a relic of an old weapon from Arctos.
A weapon?
They're supposed to have all gone inert years ago, aside from also being picked up and disabled. And there aren't supposed to have been any at all this far from Arctos.
Scary thought to run into something like that. But it's all safe, right?
Well, there's no physical damage. There can be some strong reactions.
Maybe I'm a little too calm then. That's good in this case, right?
Yes, it's a good thing. Remember that you're fine. This thing will probably hit 2 or 3 times in the coming weeks before it's all over.
He moves his hand and pulls you into a hug.
I'll make sure you stay safe, Axel, no matter what.
You can feel yourself blushing as you respond and hug him back. He's quite affectionate. The hug lasts for a bit and he hugs you tightly before letting go. Thanks.
About the SP3 CTR, the Spectre, or in layman's terms, an angel. Everyone usually experiences something different. It can be anything from a smell to a voice or a vision. It's rarely as benevolent as what the nickname suggests. If you experience something weird, talking about it usually helps.
I don't think I need therapy for something like this.
I didn't mean to alarm you, Axel.
Mike lets out a sigh.
I'm going to go and make sure everyone's fine. Would you like to come with me?
You can stay here with me if you like, Axel. It might be good to relax a little. It's not an easy experience to get hit by a spectre for the first time. I'll talk you through it. Mike looks at you and raises an eyebrow inquisitively. I'll probably just be in the way if I come with him. I'll probably be more annoying than helpful if I come with.
Oh, I doubt that.
Besides, it'd be nice to just wind down and head back to bed. He relaxes a little at that.
Don't hesitate to call me if you need to.
Mike gives you a wave as he heads out the door near the elevator. I'll have to ask you to excuse my state of dress. I rushed here as soon as I noticed the spectre. With that, Rex motions towards one of the benches and sits down on it, making room for you to sit next to him. How are you feeling? A little too calm, I think. I think the fact that I'm not really reacting is due to what I heard. What did you hear? If you don't mind me asking. It can get quite personal. Well, I heard a voice, but it wasn't about me. That's uncommon, but not unheard of. You probably have nothing you know about Arctos it can anchor onto. That makes sense. If I were to guess, it was about one of the people I know from the crew here. It almost seems as if what I heard didn't fully make sense. Might just be my mind making up stories, because there were things I definitely don't connect to them in what it said. Oh, I'm sorry you had to go through that. It feels like Arctos' mistakes never stop coming back to haunt us. And now, the ones we've made contact with. Unfair, isn't it? For us to drag you into our struggles. Unfair? I don't see it that way. He looks you in the eye. I made my own choice all the way. Had a million chances to back out. Sorry, it was kind of presumptuous of me to put it that way. I'm just worried we're dragging you into something crazy. He sighs softly. This event probably has scared some of us more than it scared you, seeing how you're reacting. That's a good thing, I think. And I know you've heard it 1,000 times today, but I'll also do everything I can to make sure you stay safe. I'm getting the feeling that people here are mostly warriors. You're studying Earth and humankind, right? Or trying to, at least. That's one of the things about us humans. There's a saying that you'll see someone's true person when you see how they react to a crisis. Some people freeze up, some people run away, some people get calmer and panic once everything is said and done. It's a line you hear a lot on Earth when humans talk about other humans. Oh, the duality of man. There's a few different interpretations. I think it just highlights that despite how different humans seem to be, we have these set patterns in how we act. Guess I'm just a quiet person.
You seem pretty outward and straightforward, if you ask me.
I try, but in moments like before, I think it shows more.
Rex seems lost in thought for a little bit. The duality of man. I like it. Earlier you mentioned you were able to stay calm because the Spectre wasn't relating to you. If it just reminded you of someone, then that's not too bad. The Spectre has many nicknames, the most famous one being an angel. People call it that because it's not too uncommon to hear the voice or see a vision of a lost loved one. I imagine your experience was what it was because it simply leashed onto someone you knew from Arctos. But there's also the other side of the coin.
Something else about them.
It's more of an old soldier's tale at this point, but it might help you understand a little of why the commander reacted as he did, and reached out to you right away.
There's a short pause if Rex is debating whether or not he should continue.
The other side of them is usually called a demon. If you hear the voice of someone you haven't seen, or someone deity who is alive, it's counted as a bad omen. A dark premonition, or a hint of evil to come. That's what hits the hardest, makes powerful men drop to their knees and cry. The base idea that someone they care about is in trouble.
That's dark, but we're all here and well, right?
That's why it's important to know about it. It is what it is, a weapon meant to scare you in great panic. So if you know about it, it has no power over you.
Well, it has no power aside from waking up in the middle of the night.
Rex laughs. Aside from that. You believe in the so-called angels and demons?
I think there's always an explanation to these things. And perhaps those tales are just a way to deal with difficult thoughts.
I agree.
There's a break in the conversation. Silence fills the large room. So, a weird question, but how do I tell what the time is?
Rex looks stumped for a second. Oh, I guess it's so natural to everyone aboard that nobody explained it. Here on your navigation band. He shows you a button you'd missed. Press once for the time, twice for a map. We're on Arctos times, that's about 24 hours and 40 minutes Earth time, I think. You still only have to care about the 24 hours. Our seconds are slightly longer.
You also do a 24-hour system.
Well, exactly. And if you're going to comment on how weird it is that it's so similar to Earth, I'm right there with you. And that's one of the reasons my work is so important.
Rex continues explaining small details about your navigation band and how the ship works. Looks like it's not too far away from using any smartphone, in reality. After a while, Mike joins you and escorts you back to your room, despite you assuring him that you're feeling fine. It's quite endearing in a way.
Truly.
You eventually make it back to bed, hopefully able to rest for the remainder of the night. A wild start to the journey. I wonder if the rest of the trip will be as wild. But that hug was nice.
Yes?
It's me. I need you to send me the new password to the Firefly secure channel.
Is that really necessary?
It is.
Yes, sir.
The next day starts calmly. The mood is high and everyone seems happy. Max drops by and asks if you want to join him for breakfast before showing you where the canteen is. Max prepares breakfast, which seems to consist of toast and tea. It's simple, but tastes good and gets you ready for the day. As you finish up, Mike walks in, followed closely by Charles and Bruce.
Good morning.
Good morning. Done with breakfast already?
I wonder his companion again. Everything alright since yesterday?
All good here. Max has a stalwart expression on his face. I'm alright. Wasn't really that much for me to think about. Not the welcome to the Firefly I expected to give you, Axel. Guess I'm weird, but I've been told what it was. It doesn't scare me that much.
You're inspiring, if anything. I'm glad you decided to join us. You feel ready to tag along with someone today? So you get to know the Firefly a little closer.
Bruce winks at you as if hinting at something. Where do I start?
If you're free, you can tag along with me for a day or two. I think it'll be a relaxed introduction. Always something that needs doing, but no pressure.
Mike looks to you as if waiting for a response.
It'll be a good start. Introduction of how things are done more practically.
That sounds good then. When do I start?
Well, we're going for a workout after breakfast, so just drop by the gym in an hour or so. I'll show you the ropes.
I could go for a workout. Maybe I'll get started right away if that's alright. He smiles.
I'll see you there then.
You leave them to finish up their breakfast and make your way to your room and put on some gym clothes. I said that, but it's going to be a little awkward. It's been a while since I stopped working out. It's hard to get out of a bad rut once you're in it. Just working on my own till he's ready to leave. And again, who am I trying to impress? Don't really know how humans work anyway, do they? I'm not that out of shape, I think. Fuck it, let's go. You make way to the gym. Bruce isn't there yet, but that was to be expected. There aren't that many machines, mostly free weights. It's fairly similar to what you're used to, except the way they add weight. You start by running some on the treadmill, and before you know it, you're working up a sweat. Definitely feels good to do this. It's almost like meditating. Falling back into an old routine, just focusing on the workout and letting everything else just be. You start some music and put your headphones in as you keep warming up. As you finish your warm-up and look around, you notice Bruce has already shown up, is already working out. Oh, hi. Sorry, seems like I was in my own world for a bit. It's alright. Do your thing. I keep working out and we can chat later if you want. Yes, you're not the only one who prefers to just work out on your own. Thanks. Let me know when you're done and I'll finish up. You continue your workout with some free weights, even getting some bench press and pull-ups in. Eventually, Bruce taps you on the shoulder. I finished. I'm going to clean up and head to the greenhouses. You coming? I'll just finish this set. I set a locker up for you before you arrive. There should be a towel and everything you need in there. Oh, thanks. I'll be right there. With that, Bruce leaves for the locker room. You finish up your set and make your way to the locker room. The locker room is clean and well put together. There's a locker with your name and even a towel prepared for you as well, even has your name embroidered on it. That's considerate. You clean up and feel refreshed after your shower. Bruce sparks up a conversation as the two of you get dressed. You work out a lot back home? I used to. There's been a period where I kind of lost the routine. It's hard to get away from it here. That's comforting, even though it sounds a little harsh. That's a lot to do. Eventually you get itching to move. I was end up here in the morning, so I start feeling restless. Been going for years now. As he moves, it's noticeable he has a lot of muscle to back that claim up. How long have you been in space? This time? A few months. Overall? Last 20 years more or less. That's a long time. You get used to it. It's like any other job once you get comfortable. You make it your home and you find your people. Well, some of us started as Arctos was just moving into the space era. Mike and Geralt, for example. It's all military back then, so you found your new family and your crewmates. You had a good crew, you had your new home. He sighs. Not that any of us have a proper choice anymore. Sorry. He looks a little surprised. I don't see why you're apologising. As far as I know, you're here leaving your home behind for an unknown world. And people you've never met and thousands of you will never meet. We should be the sorry ones for even daring to ask. Would you do the same? I don't think that most people would. I would, but it's not something you can just expect. I don't have my entire life ahead of me. And I won't mention the fact that going to space and another world is something most people back on Earth can only dream of. Honestly, it's depressing. I think that I was going to spend my entire life in an office, not making a mark on the world or changing anything. I dream big, live wide, and sail the stars until you join them forever. It's an old soldier saying. Once you're both dressed and refreshed, Bruce leads the way towards the greenhouses. Turns out it's not too far from the gym. He said you'd work in helping measure the temperature and the soil of certain smaller potted plants and organising them. Gives you a short run through of how to figure out which plant or seed is which, using a computer and some telltale signs. The scientific names of them sound as you'd expect, while the common names are simpler. Apparently some are more sensitive than others. Try and get a good feel of sunseed. They're the most important. The ones that give off the tingling sensation when you touch them. They're also the most sensitive, and since it's quite a chilled environment, we might as well make sure they're not too cold. There below the threshold, moving that cabinet over there, it's a little warmer. And be very gentle when you handle them. Gotcha, that should be fine. You said to work measuring the temperature and placing the plants where they need to be. It's a weird experience handling the seed. If I remember correctly, is this how most food is maintained? Most plants I grow here are edible, and end up as something far different from what they are now. I can't imagine putting sunseed in my mouth. There's actually a snack made just like that from a similar plant. They're smaller than these. Mine actually fairly large, which is why their effect is so noticeable. We wait a little while longer before Bruce strikes up a conversation once again. I've heard life on Earth is not too unlike life on Arctos. Being in space must be a strange experience for you. Seems like Bruce has a lot of experience of life in space. Humans have had space travel quite some time now. We've never really made it far from Earth. I've had humans in space and even on our moon. Thinking to go beyond our solar system has been nothing but a dream. Honestly though, with the gravity and access to water and food, it's not too different. Not even the tech is far off what I imagined. Guess it's just mostly... How do I explain something like claustrophobia without actually being claustrophobic? The feeling of your world getting smaller? Yeah, not being able to leave I wanted. It's scary, but at the same time it's just a fact, so I don't really panic. It's hard to explain, but I think everyone gets it. It'll pass, and eventually it'll just feel like home. You fall into a routine, like caring for plants or working out. And things feel normal. Might you have a lot of patience though? I wonder how Max does it. Oh boy, I wonder. Yeah, I'll grow out of it, he knows that. He's always hanging in there until he calms down. He'll grow out of it, out of wanting to explore the world. Bruce smiles. Out of that chaotic energy. Well, it'll still be there, but more or less dormant. It's how dragons work. Lots of chaotic energy until you figure out how to live with it. You're like concentrated coffee. Max is actually handling it really well considering his age. So it was a dragon thing after all. I just thought he was energetic and enthusiastic. Well, he's upbeat, that's for sure. I was a lot more chaotic when I was younger. He raises his arm up and looks at the tattoo around as if reminiscing. I joined the army early on and got into a rough crew. Not a lot of us left now. There's a good way to channel that chaotic energy. Max doesn't really have that benefit. Everyone here is pretty mellow in comparison. I remember that. You don't have any problems with patience. So if he clings on to you, you know why. It's that point at which you figure out that sometimes it's alright to just sit down and look at the stars pass by. Some read a book, some meditate, some just take care of plants. Magic is something humans don't have to learn. How to relax properly, that is. I think some of us forget how to. You should practice some then. It's a way to keep yourself grounded, even while in space. In the future, feel free to drop by whenever. Even if I'm not around, there's always something you can do. The two of you continue making small conversation about Earth and Arctos. It's quite relaxing working with something mindless, but important. Or while keeping a conversation that keeps you focused. Turns out dragons are outliers in Arctos, and they tend to stick together because of it. Segregation really is a thing, everywhere. Eventually you finish working and Bruce calls it a day for you. It's still early and Bruce heads off on some private matters, so you make your way to the canteen to grab some dinner. You begin making your way towards the canteen as you spot a large figure across the corridor.
A human.
Good evening.
Humans are weird.
Thanks.
How do you work, anyway?
How humans work? I know I could summarize that easily. How do you work?
I'm keeping my eye on you.
That was interesting. One could almost call Frank kind of cute in his own way. As you enter the room, you spot Rex over by the window. He gets out from his seat and walks over to you.
Good evening, Axel. Want to join me for dinner?
Why not? That'd be nice.
I made a pasta salad. Hopefully it tastes all right.
Everyone cooks, right?
It's a rotating schedule. You're not in it yet, so feel free to enjoy it to the fullest.
I should cook something from Earth soon.
Well, that sounds interesting. I'll be looking forward to it.
Rex smiles as you analyse him a little. He seems pretty kind. Remembering our last conversation, he's a bit of an overthinker. I'll do just that then. With that, Rex returns to his spot by the window. You grab a plate and some of the pasta salad before making your way to the bench where Rex is seated. You take a seat next to him and look out the window. The way the stars fly past you is impressive and serene at the same time. It's awe-inspiring, isn't it? Here we are, flying through space at unimaginable speed, and still we're sitting here enjoying food in peace. It is. I never thought I'd even get close to doing something like this in life. So, what do you think of it all so far? The community in life aboard the Firefly, our little world. You can't help but let out a sigh. It's great, though it feels like that's the only question I've been asked ever since getting aboard.
Oh, sorry.
Let's change the subject then. Tell me a little about yourself and life on Earth. What'd you like to know? Just generalising life on Earth is honestly a little difficult.
Oh, how so?
Some things just seem so natural to me, but someone who, for example, has lived on the complete other side of the planet will have a completely different life.
Oh, that sounds a little different from Arctos. But then Arctos is also a much smaller planet.
That makes sense. It's a little confusing to hear that you're all kind of united.
He seems a little annoyed at that. Oh, I wouldn't call us united. But yes, technically Arctos is all one country.
Politics are the same everywhere by the looks of it.
From what I hear, though, humans still aren't that different than Arctonians. Psychologically, for one.
Humans adapt, but yeah, imagine we're all fairly similar in that regard. Everyone has wants, wishes, dreams, and everyone has their problems.
Oh, that's true for my people as well. Everyone has their struggles.
And some people seem to almost look for it. I think some things aren't meant to be had without struggles. It's part of what builds us up.
You've had your fair share, I imagine?
I wouldn't say that. Sounds like I'd be looking for people to pity me.
I think it's the complete opposite. I pity the people who look for struggles, but not the ones who get them forced upon them. If it's avoidable, it is folly. It's the worst kind of romanticism.
No hopeless romantics for you, then? Well, if you walk a road filled with rose bushes, they might be pretty to look at and you might feel good. But you'll cut yourself on the thorns every second step you take. Is it worth it to simply feel self-righteous or feel like you're going down a pretty path? Poetry, then who knows where that dirt road might take you? But there's some honour in the struggle, is there not? The heavier burdens you bear, the stronger you have to be to continue. As long as you continue to struggle on, you'll keep growing. And grown into that rose that you picked, not the one the dirt road showed you. Truly a romantic. I'm the same, really. I've just seen too much pain. People are trying to make reality into the fiction that works with their narrative. If you paint everything to look the way you see it through your rose-tinted glasses, someone else will come and fill the walls with scarlet paintings. And you won't be able to see it with those rose-tinted glasses of yours. You'll get hurt, and the ones around you will get hurt. There's nothing you can do about it if you refuse to see it. People are trapped by their strong feelings in their world of fiction. That's not something I'll ever let happen again. I'll protect those I care about, if it means I'll live in a world without colour. If you always struggle to reach greater heights, you'll always suffer. That's a very dark way to look at things. People get cursed by their ideals, and eventually get stuck in an endless loop that doesn't really change anything. I try to do the opposite, really. Otherwise, I'll probably be filled with despair. Instead, I get enthralled with the possibilities. It's like the chance to redo life, in a way. We're not so different, then. At one point, I felt like I was too lazy to get out of bed and end it all. I got lost in my head, and I kept thinking. Eventually, I realized being alone in your head gets lonely. So instead, I talk fairly freely and try to change my world in what way I can. I don't think someone could live like that on Earth. Humans mostly keep their worries in their head. They're worried if they tell anyone they'll get laughed at or made fun of. Well, everyone else will think they're weird. In reality, everyone has struggles. Different ones, but everyone struggles. So, once again, we arrive at the conclusion that we're all too similar. Enough poetry for now, though. I don't want to wear you out just yet. Is it alright if I ask you some personal questions about your opinions on Arctos and the Firefly? I don't know how much my opinion can give, but I can try. Then, who do you think is the most important for this mission? Pick one of the people who came to meet you on Earth to simplify things. They're all important in their way. And is one more important? If we're doing max route, we're going to go here. Probably the commander, right? Why do you think that? Well, I get he seems very busy keeping everything flowing smoothly. He was picked from the mission for a reason, right? I imagine he has a lot to keep things going forward, and he seems to keep everyone focused and motivated. He does run a tight ship with a happy crew. From my point of view, the most important member from Earth is you. But that would have been a trick question. I agree with you on this one. You're a logical man. You're just feeling me out then? I'm trying to get my head around how humans think. As sad and technical as it sounds, I'm expected to finish some sort of report on humans. He sighs. And I couldn't even go to Earth to get more information, so I'm very thankful that you're here with us. I'll do my best then. Maybe I'll learn more about Arctos as well, similar as it seems. What do you actually know about Arctos and why we're in need of help? At this point, you put down your half-eaten bowl of salad. The conversation is more direct than you thought it would be. Let's see. What I gather is a war between Arctos and another world. The War of Aggression. Arctos ended up winning? That's what the history books would say. All right, so far. And then, before Arctos could fully recover, the Endless White appeared. It started with beings appearing on our planet. Studies ruled that they're not from Arctos originally. These beings who spread the endless clouds of ash known as the Endless White are most likely a biological weapon of some sort, spread by the enemies we supposedly defeated. So, an unspoken but common thought is that the war of aggression is not over. It really only ended when our government collapsed and was replaced by the opposition. The military is the same, and management is torn. We're trying to deal with this threat. Rex sighs again. So we're reckless and dragging Earth into this. That's disheartening. The others seem to be set on stopping it, though. Oh, I think everyone is. Personally, I don't think we should drag Earth down with us if it all goes bad, though. Tell me, what do you think of the Endless White? It's hard to get a grasp on it, if I'm to be honest. It's uncomfortable and it's scary, but for me it's not really real yet. Do you think it is an omnipotent enemy, as some seem to think? I'm not sure I'd say omnipotent. There are ways to fight it, right? Immunity, for example. Indeed. It's not omnipotent. While there are different theories, the only I find to make sense is that it's a remnant of a weapon. Never actually intended to see daylight. Would that make it evil? Or just existing? They're creatures who try to harm everyone on Arctos, spreading the ash, right? But probably not. They just do what they think is right, just like people. Personally, I think they're evil from creation. Whoever made them was evil and intended them to be evil. But then that raises other questions. Why is there evil? Is it to keep people out of the heavens? Sorry, I ramble. That's all right. It's a little interesting. Rex sighs softly, but smiles. So, what do you think we give Earth, in exchange for the help with immunity research and weapons? I assume it's technology. Arctos has space travel in ways no nation on Earth does. In a sense, yes. Its settlements will allow the Earth and nations to help us create settlements on Arctos and nearby little planets. It's a bigger deal than it sounds. It essentially means that those nations can create their own little planets for unlimited growth. I don't really get any of that personally. It's all for future generations, right? I'd say that's another part of humans. Some people pick to plant trees they'll never see, so others may see them in the future. So you finish your sentence, you hear someone enter. You turn around and see Geralt enter and walk right up to you. Rex been telling you strange stuff? I wouldn't say strange, just interesting. Don't listen to him. He's always acting suspicious. Oh, researching Earth, little Geralt. It's what you could call my damn job. Yes, don't go worry him too much. Space is a large place, and already seems overwhelmed. Everyone's swarming the poor boy. Boy? He seems a little tense. Maybe I should say something. Thanks. On that note, I should probably finish up my food. It's an interesting conversation. Thanks, Rex. Any time. With that, you grab your plate and finish eating while Geralt and Rex discuss what seems to be research and the political situation on Arctos. Apparently, they're on very different sides of the political question. Regardless, they seem to get along fairly well. Eventually, Rex offers to show you where you'll be working when you've gotten settled in and start setting up for real. It's hard for you to hide your reactions as you enter the room. This is more than a couple of servers. Too much equipment? Not really too much to manage, just not what I'd expected. I think John might have overshot the purchases a bit. It's probably preferable to undershooting since we're going so far away from Earth. Depends on what they need it all to do exactly. I think John will walk you through it. From what I understand, it's relatively simple compared to what you usually do. You take him in to look through everything. It all seems to be stuff you're used to working with. It's all very high-end, barely hooked up. There's also a lot of extra equipment and cables. All in all, it seems like there's enough stuff here for me to do pretty much anything they'll need, if I understood the description correctly way back then. It's been that long, even if it feels like it. Space does that. It messes with your mind a bit. Rex clears his throat. I'm sorry for before. What do you mean? I got too intense. I shouldn't project my worries and fears onto you. He lets out a deep sigh. I have a few things from my past that I'm still struggling with. I'll try to be as intense going forward. It was very rude of me. Don't be sorry, I found it interesting. It's all new to me and you have a bit of a different perspective from most people I've talked to. Well, thanks, Axel. You finish up going through the equipment and Rex heads off to continue his work. You finish a reasonable amount of setup before you decide to call it a break. With a couple of hours left of the day, you decide to go see Mike for a bit. You haven't really talked since you got to the Firefly. It's been quite intense. You check your communication band and see if you can call or send Mike a message. It takes you a minute, and you figure out how to text someone. It's a sequence of holding down one of the buttons and saying their name. Hello.
Evening, Axel. Still with Bruce?
Actually, I just finished eating dinner and, why does it suddenly feel awkward to have called him? Well, no going back now. I was wondering if it's alright if I come by for a bit. If you're not too busy.
Well, I'm just taking a break. How about you come by the observation deck? You can always come by the way.
He let out a soft sigh. A kind of content one, but still one easing some pressure.
Well, I don't think I've said it properly. I like you, Axel. So don't be afraid to reach out.
That's unexpected. How do I respond to that? I like him too, but does he mean it like that? Fuck it. Time to stop overthinking everything. I remember that. Thanks, Mike.
I'll be waiting for you. See you in a bit.
See you in a bit. You make your way to the closest elevator, and after less than a minute you arrive at the observation deck. As you arrive, you spot Mike across the room, sitting on a bench and looking out towards the stars. You make your way to the bench and sit down next to him.
This is my favourite place of reflection. I come here to sort through my thoughts and remember long-gone times. Fascinating, isn't it? We're far above our respective worlds, and still it doesn't feel that far. Before my first flight, I imagined it's so distant and real. But here we are.
It's still incredible to me. He turns and looks to you.
Well, it's a matter of perspective, then. That's one of the things I like about you, your outlook.
He did mean he likes me.
From what I heard from Julia, you've been through your fair share of troubles. Still, here you are, looking at the future. It's inspiring. Perhaps that's why we're all so fascinated with you.
You all?
It's why you've been swarmed with people wanting to talk to you and spend time with you since the moment you stepped foot on the Firefly.
That's a good point. It's been a few intense conversations already. I've barely had time to rest mentally.
You want me to tell them to stop?
No, it's fine. Honestly, I'm enjoying it a bit. It's a contrast to what I'm used to.
Did Bruce and everyone treat you alright?
I enjoyed spending time with Bruce. He taught me a lot about the Firefly and dragons. Everyone's friendly. Geralt's a little rough, but he seems to care. Honestly, the only thing that's been a little different is Rex.
Rex? What happened?
Not like that. He just had a lot of questions. But as you said, it's expected.
What did he ask, if you don't mind me asking?
Honestly, just mostly questions about Earth and humans. Got a little intense when he asked me who I thought was the most important person of this mission.
Oh? Well, that's an interesting question. I think it's you.
He said the same thing. I picked you.
I'm glad to hear that.
He also told me a few things about the Endless White and what it is.
I'm sorry, Axel. I'll talk to him. He can get a little intense in his political views.
You don't have to. Even apologise afterwards. Mike sighs.
Well, if you want, I'll give you my opinion on whatever you're curious about. It might make it all less stressful if you get another perspective.
Then, if it's alright, will you tell me what your opinion on the Spectre is? Rex called it an angel.
Well, I've had a few experiences with them. I wouldn't call them angels. Well, it's an old soldier's tale, stemming from there being visions or sounds from lost loved ones. More often than that, it anchors onto what might be your fears or doubts. So when you've lost someone, it's an easy thing for the chemical released in your brain to trigger. Usually people hear or see someone or something touching on their fears and doubts. Their biggest regrets, things that might make them act irrationally.
Then what he said about them being demons is close to the truth.
Demons? It is supposedly a dark omen, but I think that's also just another soldier's tale. As before, it latches onto something you might fear or wonder about. If that is a person close to you, it's the same. It's to make you fear that whoever it is might be in danger, and then panic. It's a weapon made to disorder armies.
He sighs again.
Truly terrifying, in my opinion.
What I heard when the Spectre appeared was something I didn't recognise.
Something you didn't recognise? Might be because you're not from Arctos. The weapon wasn't designed with humans in mind.
He looks you in the eyes.
What did you hear?
I heard a voice talking about lost friends trapped in a dark afterlife. It's dark and honestly creepy, but I didn't recognise any of it. The part that made me worried was that it mentioned a commander.
Oh.
He puts an arm around you.
Probably latch onto something you knew about Arctos and something you would find dark or intimidating. So it picked me and perhaps something you read in a book once. It's not real, I promise you that.
Thanks. That makes me feel better somehow.
As for Rex, Arctonians can be a romantic bunch, in the worst of ways. We dream of home or of possibilities.
It's not that bad, talking about things so openly. Humans are usually more uptight.
Well, being in a place like this is like being drunk in a way. The more relaxed you are, the more it just kind of comes out. But Arctonians can still be a little too intense. This goes twice to the ones who've been away from home for months. So, as for any advice he or I give you, take it for what it is. It's personal and it's advice. It might not relate to you at all. You're one of us now. We're bears, tigers, badgers, dragons, and now humans. So if anyone makes you uncomfortable or acts weird, don't be afraid to tell them off. As I'd put it, more casually, call them on their bullshit. I don't think most of us realise it when it happens, where everyone accidentally oversteps or says something that annoys or hurts someone else sometimes. It's fair to call people out on it. I'd prefer if you call me out when I do that.
I'll try. There's a pause where you both just sit and contemplate things.
Back on Earth, did you ever look into things like star constellations?
Horoscopes and the like.
Almost.
There's a pause where neither of you say anything.
Like on Arctos, we'd have legends behind every constellation, the stars that made them. There are things like horoscopes as well, like being born under a certain star sign or constellation. What fascinated me about the constellations is how we'd make legends on what we thought they were. As a constellation is supposed to depict a hydra, for example. As a child, I would hear stories about ancient heroes fighting the beasts. As an adult, I eventually flew to the other side, and from that side it looked almost like a heart. I wonder what Arctos will look like to you.
I'll let you know when I get the chance.
Sorry, I get nostalgic at this view. I am a dreamer.
I like that about you. You look surprised and you realise you're blushing. Just admitted I like him as well, didn't I? Maybe I should just change the subject. I noticed almost everyone here calls you Mike, not Commander or Sir. On Earth, have you considered weird to call you superior in the army by their first name?
He chuckles softly. Probably on Arctos as well. I prefer a more personal connection. And because it's you asking, it has more of a personal connection for me as well. It's a part of my past in a way. The last person I cared for who called me Sir or Commander is now long gone. He was an old friend and a good crewmate. An old scar, if you will.
Mike pulls you closer. He's warm as always, in contrast to the chilly room. He stops after a few seconds and pulls away from you. You get worried for a second you did something wrong, or at least having other thoughts than just before. But instead, he takes off his jacket and puts it over your shoulders. He puts his arm back around you, and you two look at the stars in silence for a while. You can see why you come here to reflect and to remember.
There's always something romantic about the seemingly endless space, isn't there?
It's very solemn. Maybe that's why he seems hard to let go of the layer of sadness he mentioned back on Earth. He looks over towards you.
What are you thinking about?
I don't know if I should share. It's a bit of a downer thought.
That sounds interesting. If you share, this view can bring out both good and bad thoughts.
As awkward as it is, I might as well share. If he does end up thinking I'm weird, he'll be honest. Being somewhat honest about my feelings has been a driving force in my life recently. It's about you and the layer of sadness you mentioned back in Broadtown. To reflect on the fact you seem to easily get nostalgic or lost in thought. So moments like these end up being both helpful and harmful in a way, perhaps. Think about the layer of sadness all the time.
There's a pause.
Sorry.
I don't think you should be. It's a personal thought, but it's a valid one. You're quite reflective yourself, but in a different way. I think you're right, in a way. But I can't let go of that sadness just yet.
It's weird you even mentioned that, though. Sorry, I shouldn't have shared that.
Well, I think that life comes and goes in waves. There's sadness and there's happiness. Even if it's what people strive for, eternal happiness wouldn't benefit anyone.
Kind of the idea there needs to be evil for there to be good. Or sadness for there to be happiness.
Kind of. And I think it comes and goes. Life has its ups and downs, quite literally. Right now we're in an up, which is why I can think about sad things without being as painful.
Think about the opposite makes it more optimistic.
I find myself by looking at my past. When I'm sad, I'll think about something good. Like remembering my first flight.
It's about the balance then. The two of you continue looking at the stars for a while longer. Eventually he walks you back to your room and bids you a good night. It doesn't take you long to shower, brush your teeth and eventually get to bed. It's nice being able to focus on now more than before. Instead of being stuck focusing on myself and my past, I keep thinking about other things. New adventurous things, new worlds. Eventually you drift off to sleep. A deep sleep, relaxing. A good ending to a good day. And that is where we're going to finish it for today. And if you're noticing, I can definitely feel my throat is kind of a bit sore. It was an incredibly busy week, so I'm hoping I'm not coming down with something. It's just tiredness from that. So I'm going to wrap this up quickly. Also, we have some more distant travels to go. We'll be returning to it before too long. And also we have Remember the Flowers. Returning to Remember the Flowers. That's what I'm trying to say. Which will be up probably next weekend. Another couple of new VNs will be coming at some point. Maybe this month, maybe one will be next month. And some more short stories to come. So before I go, as always, thanks to all my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. And my top patrons are Andy Peng, Smuto, Omar, Nova Starburn, Harvest Mouse Productions, Yeika, Rafu, Mohammed Al-Zamel, Aaron Fox, Exac, Evan King, Cindy Dragawolf, Kopi, Spiderling, Grizz, Dissonance, Ade Corval, Tiger Cub, Rand Hall, Bastion, Copus Vissa, Kartek, and everyone else. Thank you, even if I don't always mention you. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.